Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's chapter 59 of Serendipity. This one is titled Suspicious. What happened? Deku asked the policeman. It's assumed that she got drunk and fell into the pool, then hit her head and pulled herself half out of the water before she had a brain hemorrhage and died, the policeman said. What did she hit her head on? You asked, trying to put the pieces together. I'm assuming on the bottom of the pool, the policeman replied. Bottom? You asked. Isn't the pool a little deep? She could have hit it on the steps here at the shallow end, he replied. Oh, true, you said, walking around to look at the steps. You tried to imagine how she could have fallen and hit her head, then stayed conscious long enough to pull herself out of the pool, but something wasn't adding up. If she had slipped in accidentally, wouldn't the bump on her head have been on the front or side? You frowned as you stood there scrunching your eyebrows together. Deku and the policeman were in a deep discussion when a loud voice called out from the door and you looked up in its direction. Let me in! That's my girlfriend! The distraught voice called, pushing his way into the room. Maya! Maya! The male called again urgently. He struggled his way through the door and burst into tears when he saw his girlfriend lying motionless on the ground. The policeman quickly covered her body, and Deku walked over to calm the sobbing boyfriend down. What time did this happen? The boyfriend asked loudly, and you tilted your head curiously. I would have asked what happened first, not what time it happened, you thought curiously. Are you the boyfriend? Deku asked the male, trying to get some information first before answering questions. Yes, the male replied, tears flooding down his face. I left the party early last night, and Maya insisted on staying, and oh, Maya, why? He sobbed, falling into Deku's arms. Bring her back to me. You walked over too at that point and introduced yourself, also adding in your condolences. Thank you, he said, wiping his eyes. Excuse me, this is very upsetting. That's understandable, you said. You said you were at the party last night? Yes, he nodded. Did you know everyone else who attended the party? You asked. Yes, it was a staff party with few outside members who were significant others of staff and some celebrities, he said. Everyone got along well. I see, you replied. Such an unfortunate accident, he said, tears welling up in his eyes again. Has it been announced as an accident? You asked suddenly. Nothing was being said yet about the status of the death. Oh, well, the boyfriend replied, a little flustered by your comment. I assume it was an accident. How could it be anything else? What are you trying to say? That she was murdered? No, God, no, please! Who would want to kill my beautiful girlfriend? She was loved by all. She had worked here at the plaza for 8 years. You looked at Deku, then back to him. Sorry, my comment was out of line, you apologized. I don't know your girlfriend, but I'm sure that you are correct. She sounds like a lovely person. She was, he replied. You work here as well? You asked, seeing him in the staff uniform. He nodded. Yes, Maya and I met here and have been dating for 7 years. I see, you replied. My sincerest condolences again for your loss. Thank you, he said, covering his face and sobbing into his hands. Something didn't feel right, but you opted not to say anything else at that point, promising yourself that you'd chat to Deku later. It was at that point that the manager re-entered the room with the guest list and saw the boyfriend there. Philip, the manager called with horror in his voice. What are you doing here? You can't be here. Oh, God, no, he tutted. The boyfriend, Philip, turned and saw the manager and burst into tears again. She's gone, he wailed. The manager quickly handed the guest list to Deku, then grabbed Philip and walked him out, uttering words of sympathy and comfort as he led him from the scene. Deku looked at you. I feel like you sense something's amiss, he whispered. You nodded. I'll talk to you later about it. Deku walked away to talk to someone else, and you decided to have a look around as well. You saw some policemen handling some money, and you walked over to ask them some questions. Hello, you greeted politely. I am here with Hero Deku. Was that money here in this room? Yes, the policeman replied. Money was being used for the payment of alcohol and such. I see. Your eyes fell to the money in his gloved hand and you squinted curiously at it. May I feel it? You asked. That would contaminate the sample, the policeman said. Deku, overhearing you talking with the officer, walked over to see what the issue was. "What is it, Yin?" he asked you. "I'd like to feel the money," you said to him. "My quirk is to copy paper items, but if this money is made by a quirk, I won't be able to copy it because it's not paper, it's not genuine." "What makes you think that it's made by a quirk?" Deku asked curiously, also a little fascinated that you'd picked it up so quickly. "It just moves differently to normal paper money," you replied. "I use my quirk daily for copying, so I know what normal paper feels and moves like. I just saw it doesn't flop like paper money should." The officer looked at Deku, then back to you. "Please allow her to copy it," Deku said. "This will greatly help the case if it's found that some of the money's counterfeit." The officer nodded and placed the money down on the table, and you gently touched it with your hand and tried to copy it, but you couldn't. "It won't copy," you said to Deku after trying a few times. "This one's a counterfeit." The officer looked at his co-worker with surprise, then showed you the other bills that he'd picked up. "Miss, are these all counterfeit?" he asked, placing them down on the table for you to look at. You looked them over, then pointed to one in the middle of the pile. "Can I try copying that one? I think that's a real one." Ah, look, see? Your quirk is handy. Stay tuned for the following chapter, which will be chapter 60.